And I do believe that we are live. A very warm welcome to the channel, Tuesday, the 3rd of May 2022. This one today is, let me just go here. I've called it the Great Famine 2022 China, real news from China. And I saw this title actually on Twitter, and yes, I am copying it, to be honest with you. It's sort of like the Great Famine in China from 1959 to 1961, when it was the Great Leap Forward. Well, it was the Great Leap Backward. We have lots of images of what's happening. Again, an update of Shanghai and an update of Beijing and other cities around China as well. And if you are not watching this live, it's okay. This will be on my YouTube channel, and I hope everything's okay with the powers to be. Now, let me get into the picture. Hi, I hope everyone is well and all dandy today. And let's get on with it without any further ado. Here we go. So the dynamic COVID zero policy in China is actually, the Chinese government are slowly manipulating it in a different way, but there are still lines for testing. And quite often I do speak with some Chinese people. I do help people with an exam called IELTS. I was a former examiner a long time ago, and I just like to help people, and so they can get the exam of the English qualification so they can go to other places. So quite often, sometimes these chats that I help people with get cancelled because they're mandatory testing. If you don't do the test, basically you go to jail. So this is one of the more lines that you can see, and I think this is in Beijing. Just look how long the line is. Beijing is not officially on lockdown, hence you can see quite a few cars going about that area there. Lots of things related to the food. Some people on YouTube are saying everything's fine and everything's dandy and everyone in Shanghai is getting food. But obviously, we have seen quite a few videos as well that people are not getting their food. So donated food for sale. What's happening here, let me just explain before we go to the video, is that the food does get donated by the government and it goes to, let's say, the local council office. Then the local council office, corrupt as they are, decide to sell this food for a higher price to the citizens who were going to get it for free. And these are being found out quite often here. You can see this is the food. This is found in a council or government office, a local government office. And the food sometimes is out of date, it's moldy. And then they would actually sell this on at a vastly higher price to what it should be, free of charge, because all the shops near enough are closed. So this is sort of like the conspiracy. This is awful that people are making money out of COVID-19 by people starvation. This one, burn it. I can't remember actually what this is. I haven't prepared this show very well, but let's just remind myself here. Oh yeah. These are the Stormtroopers in action again. Now, if you remember the World War II movies with the flamethrower, they have a flamethrower here trying to disinfect and kill any kind of airborne COVID or Omicron virus. Just take a look at this. It actually sounds like a really bad lawnmower. So I don't know if that works or not, but the smoke that you're seeing is sort of like a lime-based smoke disinfectant kind of thing. I'm not a chemist, I don't really understand. Other places in China, now there is 22 other cities that are not necessarily on lockdown, but a partial lockdown, but testing goes on and on and on. You can see in a moment or two I'm not too sure where this city is, but look at the line. Just look at the line. This is mandatory testing. That it's not the testing, how to say, that you're invited to. You have to go. And when you go for a testing, I think I may have spelt this word wrong, swabs, but the thing that they put in your mouth or up the nose. Have you seen how these are mass produced in China? You can have a look actually right now. And this is a factory of swab testing, not swab testing, of actually where the swabs are made. It's meant to be in a super hygienic kind of place. And some people are wearing some suits for protection, so these swabs are clean, but they're not placed in any kind of clean, hygienic environment. It's just left there. And you can see some people in blue suits, but other people just in a t-shirt and a mask. And not everyone is wearing gloves for that. Time for school. In Shanghai, everything is still sort of like lockdown. I do believe it has been eased a little bit in some cases. I was watching a person called Teacher Mikey the other day, and he was actually allowed to leave his house or his apartment, but only in the compound. And he lives in a rather nice area of Shanghai. And he took his kid out to go mud splashing. And it did it for 2 or 3 days. This was at the end of April. But then at the beginning of May, guess what? One person was tested positive, and then he's back into his accommodation again. It's a crying shame in that way. That the poor kid who loves to be outside is put into this environment. You can obviously see that it doesn't work. This video that I'm going to show you now, Time for School, is, I don't know where it is in China. It has been on the internet for a week or so, but these are kids going to school and they have to wear the Stormtrooper suits or the protection or the PPE. You know what I mean, gear. Look at this. So children in hazmat suits, oversized, and they are going off to school. Obviously, this is not in Beijing or in Shanghai at the moment, but I could say it's in other areas where there may have been not necessarily a lockdown, but maybe a partial lockdown. But education is still important to learn the ways of Xi Jinping. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a message from your friendly government. So obviously here you can see a drone going past the apartment buildings. Again, I can guess this is in Shanghai, and it's basically saying, show your restraints for emotion. Don't bang the pots and pans. Don't do this. It's time for COVID testing in your area. Go out now. And this is how they message people. Now, the volume, you could imagine on YouTube, is not so loud, but this is at full volume. Things in Asia, when they have a microphone or when they have a speaker, it's not turned to 50%, it's turned to 100%. So it's incredibly loud. I had muted the sound by 70% so it wouldn't blast your ears away. The next one, or next title, is more food waste. What's happening with all of the food? Well, have a butcher's. I may have shown this before, but you can just see this is like old vegetables being thrown away. And these vegetables should have been to the people. Now, you can see quite a few videos that people do get some food deliveries. Occasionally, some people have said from the government it's only been twice a month. What they have been able to do is do a group buy. Not too sure exactly how it works, but there's a community on social media in their apartment building. And there they would do like buying 500 chickens, for example, and then it would be delivered and then it'd be distributed. I'm not too sure if that's done like with the management of the accommodation, etc. Don't know. But that food waste should have gone to people who wouldn't be hungry if they had that food. So much so, it's time to stand up. People, citizens, and have had enough of enough. Now, I know I've shown some of these kind of like, can I say, protests against what's happening, but these happen in small enough doses. It's not a mass rising. This are sporadic cases here and there. It's not like the Hong Kong protests in 2014 and 2019. So these people have been allowed out. I'm not too sure whether this is Beijing or Shanghai. I've said that quite a lot recently, but they are shouting, saying enough is enough. Let these people get out of their apartment. Let people have food. This is a prison. This is the People's Republic of China. It's not the prison republic of China. Now, another YouTube who do it live is a guy called Andy, and he works for a newspaper, a New Zealand guy called Shanghai Daily. And here he is. He does a live stream like what I'm doing now with another friend of his in Shanghai. Now, he gets all his food. He has shown his fridge. Yesterday, he showed a big potato. Say, look at this quality of the potato. But this is a very small percentage of people in Shanghai. There's not much food going around, and there's people are being very crafty in the way to get food, the basic necessities of life. And this guy, Shanghai Daily, any kind of media in China is controlled by the CCP, the Chinese state media. Shanghai Daily, therefore, this is a guy who does speak Chinese. He works for Shanghai Daily as an editor or a journalist or whatever. And he is one of the CCP shills, I'm afraid to say. So if you do watch his channel, you can by all means go and have a look at it, and you can see all the propaganda from the Chinese state media related to the problems of the lockdown. He's saying everything's fine, but it's sort of like, really, it's difficult, it's hard. But if you go to other websites, again, like Teacher Mikey, I have shown it on this channel before, that it's harder than these people, especially if you have children there. A testing center. Let's have a look at this one. What happens here? So this is in Beijing. Again, Beijing hasn't officially been locked down, but there are some areas that have been. And we've shown some reports of the Stormtroopers, the CCP COVID police, putting up barriers outside, locking people in their homes. That has been in Beijing. But this is a testing center, an automatic. You go in, you get tested, and then 2 days later on your mobile phone, you will have a message whether you're green or not. If it is red, then you go off to a quarantine center. People in China are more worried about the COVID center because it's just massive, it's unclean, it's unsafe, it's unhealthy, it's awful. And you've possibly seen pictures of that. And this is, again, a compulsory, and I say compulsory, sorry, is a compulsory, I've lost my words entirely, compulsory test. You have to go. This video coming up, I think this is the last one for today, is this man, he wanted to be arrested. Again, he wanted to be arrested because he managed to escape the lockdown of his apartment building or wherever he was. The police catched him and he wanted to be arrested so he could get food. That is the desperate situation. Not all of China, in certain areas. Here he is in the police car, and he is just explaining that he wants food. He's hungry, and that's the only way he can get food, to be arrested and go to the police station. Now, the thing is, with this, if he is tested positive, he won't go to the police station. He will go to the quarantine center and live in these squalid, awful conditions. But the possibility is that even in the quarantine center, even though everyone doesn't want to go, who does want to go to a quarantine center? as a matter of fact, is possibly at least he's going to get some kind of food. This guy must have been so desperate for food, must have been so desperate for food to get arrested. That's the situation. I repeat, and I emphasize, this is not 1.4 billion people in China. These are small little cases, but you're just showing the zero tolerance policy of COVID. It doesn't work. I can talk about this country, for example. Yesterday in this country, there were only two cases. Now, granted, this is a really small country with a population of 16 million people, 16 million. Last week, we don't have to wear a mask to go outside, but if you're in a crowded area, you need to wear the mask. And before, if you didn't wear the mask, the COVID police would come and you would get fined $50. The second time would be $200. The third time would be $2,000. It's a poor country. People can't afford it. But guess what? The system here, I do believe, it works a lot better than the zero tolerance. I have been locked down 3 times in 2021, but I could leave the apartment, I could get food delivery, I could get the cat food for Tokyo, etc. So it wasn't as bad as it is in China. Being starved in China is not a good thing. After, let's say you're in quarantine, for example, and they say, yep, you're free to go, you can go back to your apartment, but the COVID police won't let you back into your apartment. You have to stay on the street. So there is a rising number of people, and again, I have shown videos of this before, a rising number of people with nowhere to go, and they are sleeping in any kind of shelter they can. This is real China, not all of China. Let me emphasize that, just China. That really is about it. I would like to say hello to Roger Simpson for the whole of, maybe I did pronunciation wrong, and to all the 33 viewers who did spend your time to watch this. Thank you very much. What I am going to leave you with is the images of what I've shown you with a little bit of music. A thumbs up would be absolutely epic. Yes, I am trying to get this channel to grow, and I do like to spread the news of what I find on Twitter. I try to do it in an objective point of view. This is really happening. These kind of methods in China, they just don't work. They're inhumane. You would actually think that Xi Jinping he wants to go back to the Mao era. That's what he wants, and it's all because of him. There's no one else. But everyone is pretty scared of him, like some other dictators in the world. Messages very quickly. This one, thank you for sharing with us. Pastor has obtained information and issues. Very sad prayers. Absolutely. We do pray for the people. And Roger here just said, this is the beginning of the end. It most possibly is. But what happens normally in these situations, but normal is not any normal anymore, it's the new change of this, is the new norm. What is going to happen? For example, way back in 2016, no one believed that Donald Trump was actually going to win the presidency, but he did in a vast majority. Well done, Donald Trump. No one sort of believed about the UK exit from the EU. It happened, and now it is. So I will love you and leave you with that. I should be back tomorrow. I do have another show at 6:45 my time, which is 12:45 London time, related to the Three Gorges, which I have been preparing a little bit for today. God bless everyone. I will leave you with some images of what I just showed you.
非必要不出门。出门擅自走进家门道，小心得室外空间走动。出门则专注，不忘带好钥匙。关以为